cross of Christ, His death, His burial, and His resurrection. You just believe on Him, He'll save you. And it'll change your life. It's a good message. It's a good message, and we've partaken in it, so we ought to know. We ought to know. The manner in which we preach certainly. Verse 26. Now let's look at this illustration of a race. Verse 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. Now here is an example of a physical race. Now, we're trying to get in good enough shape, the guys that have been running. We're kind of racing lately. Now the ultimate goal, he's not here. Where's Alex? Okay. Ultimate goal would be to someday beat Alex. For most of us, that'll never happen. But we're trying to get in shape just so we could beat Alex around the 4.5-mile track. Now, we have our sneaky little things that we do to try to waylay him. He was busy up in Boynton Beach this week, so we didn't get to go after him really hard. We try to get Alex to not run, and we run. That way, we'll get in better shape, and he won't run. He's pretty disciplined. He runs anyway, even if we're not there. So that one's tough. We try to keep him up all night and not let him get any sleep, and then not feed him during the day, and then run so that we feel better. You think we're joking about this. This is for real, isn't it, Charlie? Yeah, it takes a lot to take. But Alex could still outrun us. And he probably just always will. I don't know. I did this to Charlie. I got Charlie the other day, didn't I, Charlie? This was mean, wasn't it? Charlie was up like 2 nights in a row. They didn't go to sleep, and he had to go to work all day. And I said, Charlie, let's go running. And he hadn't eaten all day. He worked for Brother Nick. He's sweating and doing knockdown to the ceiling, and he'd already spent a couple of nights working on and doing a job, so he's working 2 jobs. He didn't really get any sleep, and he was tired out, and he hadn't eaten, and he was dehydrated. I said, let's go running, and of course Charlie's like, okay, and so we ran, and I pulled a little trick on him. I ran beside him the whole way, and he was feeling terrible, and it wasn't a good day for me, but I wasn't feeling that bad, and compared to him, I would have run if I felt like he was. So we ran around all the way, and we get to the last bit. We started running a little faster, and then all of a sudden I just took off as fast as I could. And I tricked him, because if he'd known I was going to do that, he'd just run faster all the way around and left me behind. But I stayed with him all the way. I said, you better not run off and leave me, Charlie, and ran with him the whole time. And then I ran off and left him right at the end. I tricked him. I got him. I won. I beat Charlie, just so everybody here knows. Now, we start running with some better competition. Alex ran a 5K a year ago for competition. There's a lady there that wins all the 5Ks, and she beat him. And probably in as good a shape as all of us get, will never be faster than her. That could be kind of discouraging, couldn't it? I mean, go out and train and try to run the race, but you can never win. Let's talk about something. Here's an illustration. We've got a silly self-esteem movement. It's kind of expiring, because I really think the self-esteem movement, we're hearing less of it, aren't we? There's a lot more criticism nowadays than there was a couple years ago, and people aren't so critical of criticism. But the self-esteem movement basically says this: everybody's a winner all the time, no matter what. Right? In other words, you may not go out and run with us, but you're still a good runner. We may compete in a race, and you run about 5 steps and start walking, and then you can't even make it all the way around the track. But you're the best. You're a winner. You know what? You're every bit as fast as Alex. He's not fast. And that lady, you could run with her if you wanted to. You're a winner. Self-esteem movement, and it says never say somebody's not as good. Right? Everything, you're the best. Well, that's a lie, isn't it? Listen, you go run around the track, and there are going to be people that don't make it around as fast as others do. Right? Brother Chris is working on something, and I better not say it, because he might give him away, but he's getting pretty good at running around the track based on his own speed. He's getting faster and faster, and he can outrun some people now, and doing pretty well with it. The reason for it is that he's been running. He's not a natural runner. He can't walk naturally. It's not. I'm serious. He has orthotics in his shoes. Take his orthotics out and try to watch him walk. His feet go like this. And so when he walks, he's like, you watch him, he's not a natural runner, he never will be, but he's out there running, he's doing pretty good. So he can run a whole 4.5 miles, and the other day he did it in 45 minutes. That's a 10-minute mile for 4.5 miles, and for somebody that you'd never think could even run a mile, it's pretty good. doing pretty well. He'll probably never be able to outrun Alex. Charlie's got grit and determination. He's a Marine. He was a Marine. Used to be a Marine. Never say that to a Marine. They're once a Marine, always a Marine. But Charlie used to be a Marine. And he runs pretty good. He's closest to catching Alex, but he just doesn't have the natural ability Alex does. Alex is a better runner. And Charlie can go out there and he can run harder and harder, and Alex will just run faster. He's just a better runner. He's always going to be, probably. Unless we maybe we ought to just cripple him. Okay, I said all this. I'm being funny, but I wanted to help you understand something about a race. The races that Paul was talking about in verse 4 was the Greek races, the Greek competitions, and everything would have been called a race. It's a competition. The point of it is you want to be the one guy that gets there first. You want to be the winner. And he said, "Know ye not that they which run a race run all, but one receiveth the prize?" Okay, here's your gold medal, and you too, and you too, and you too. And when you get up here, I'll give you one too. Well, you can't make it. I'll just go over to you and give you one. You're a winner. There's one guy that wins that race and gets the gold medal, and he runs to get the gold medal. He doesn't run because the gold medal's worth something. He runs because he wants to win. The purpose of our preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ and making that the purpose of our life isn't so we can beat everybody else here. We're running our own race. You know what I try to do? Record my time. And the next time, I usually, if I get a good time, I run real fast. What did we run, 38 minutes or 40 minutes, something like that? I don't know. We ran pretty good the other day. And you know what our goal will be the next time we do a real hard run, when we go and just do all out? We're going to try to beat our last time. We're running against ourselves. I can't run against Alex. If I've got to beat Alex, I might as well quit now. I never will. If I got to beat the lady that beat Alex, I don't think I can ever do it. It's probably not even physically a possibility ever. But you see, we're preaching the gospel in a different kind of a race. You may not be the same gospel preacher as the person who stands in front of you or sits next to you or whatever. God's not evaluating you based upon your ability to beat somebody else. Your ability comes from where? It comes from God. He's not going to be impressed with what you can do. He's impressed with what Christ did, and He loves it when you preach it. And you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, you'll win the race. Because the person you're racing against is the person that will either do something or will do nothing. And I would just tell you something. You may not be able to make it the full 4.5 miles around the Pompano Airport right now, but if you went out and ran 3 times a week, most of us could do it within a couple of months without stopping. And if you ran it for a couple of months, you'd start running it faster and faster. And you'd get better and better, and you'd be doing a lot better than if you don't. You understand that? The person that does it does a lot better than if he didn't. You know what you're competing with? You're competing with a Christian that could possibly never get past foundational doctrine, and that's you. You can leave Christ on the cross and leave Him to an open shame, and you can never understand salvation, you can never understand baptism. But if you get past those things and you start running the race and start preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, start preaching the cross of Christ, you know what will happen? You'll have accomplished a lot more than if you didn't. And more people are going to get saved from you preaching the gospel than the ones who are saved if you don't. Do you see the point here tonight, this morning? Get in the race. Get in the race. Well, I'll never be able to run like Alex. What does that have to do with anything? You run because you're a partaker. You run because you're the reward of being saved. You run because what was you if you don't? And so the question is, what does winning have to do with it? What does being better than another person have to do with it? We run because of Christ and because of the cross and what it means to us. And so Paul said, I'm not doing this because of my rights. I'm not doing